Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today we're going to be going over a potential wildcard draft for Game Week 3. So if you're excited for the video, drop a like down below. Leave a comment. Are you thinking of playing your wildcard this week? Subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, should you play your wildcard this early? As always, it is just completely team dependent. Nobody likes playing a wildcard this early, but we have a lot more information now since the start of the season. Players that are playing well, players that are getting subbed, players that aren't even starting. So maybe your team is just in an absolute terrible position and you're going to need to activate that wildcard to bring in the likes of Palmer or Salah or Haaland or something like that. So today I put together a pretty good draft, and if I was going to play my wildcard this week, which I'm not completely against, this is something that I would be going with. So in goal, we do have Raya and Ward. I do want to bring in this Arsenal defence. Raya's actually had a ridiculous start to the season. They were kind of lucky to keep a clean sheet against Villa. You know, Watkins did miss some big chances. Obviously, Raya made some ridiculous saves. But they have Brighton at home. And then, yeah, they do have Spurs and City away. But after that, they've got really, really nice fixtures. And you're going to want an Arsenal defender for the likes of Leicester at home, Southampton at home. It's just a no-brainer. And we all see that they can keep a clean sheet in the big games as well. And you never know, they might play really defensively against City and try and win a draw or something like that. So, I don't know, I feel like we were a little bit hesitant because of the fixtures, but we really downplayed how good the Arsenal defence is. And I just think going forward, if you were going to play a wild card, because you're not going to be able to play a wild card for a long time if you're playing it now, and I think you're going to want an Arsenal defender in now rather than later. And for 5.5 mil, Raya is the cheapest option, and I feel like he's probably going to get a price rise soon as well, just because of the stellar start he's had to the season. But I just think that you need someone from Arsenal in that back line, because yeah, their Arsenal defense is just ridiculous. And then Ward's just there as a 4 mil keeper, just a low owned 4 mil keeper, so you won't lose any money in them or anything like that, because like I say, Raya's just going to be a set and forget every single week. And yeah, he is a little bit more pricey than your normal goalkeeper at 5.5 mil, but I think the points that he brings in is just absolutely worth it. Like, if you started the season with Henderson, he's picked up like 3 points. If you started with Raya, he's picked up like, I don't know, it's 15, 16, 17 points. So for that extra mil, there's a massive difference. So that's where I've gone Raya and Ward in goal. At the back, we've got Konza, Robinson, Johnson, Trent, and Veltman as well. Yeah, I mean, the defense kind of is very much hit and miss, like whoever you really want to bring in. Obviously, Trent's just there because he is arguably one of the best options you can have for a player this season. At 7 mil, what he can produce, I feel like I'd have to have Trent on a wild card. You can always downgrade him to somebody like a Robertson to get an extra mil, but I just think what Trent brings is just so much more. But we'll talk about that in a second, because obviously Robertson is still a pretty decent option. But let's go over the other defenders. So Johnson's just in there as a 4 mil defender. You could really go with 2 4 mil defenders if you wanted to and just set and forget 3 defenders, but I don't really like that idea, because you'll have fixtures where, you know, like Veltman, for example, who's got Arsenal away this week. You don't really want to be playing him in that fixture. So having an extra player that is decent and that you wouldn't mind playing each week, I think is worth the extra 0.5 mil. But yeah, Veltman's in there just simply because of the Ipswich and the Forest games coming up in game week 4 and 5. Really, really nice fixtures, and I feel like you'd want somebody from Brighton in those fixtures, really. Yeah, Trent obviously speaks for himself, just one of the best options, as I just said. Johnson's in there because he should be playing every game now. He is cheap. Ipswich have actually got a really, really nice run of fixtures, so if need be and you have to play him in like that Southampton game or the Fulham game or whatever, then you've always got him on the bench just in case. Did pick up an assist against City as well. Robinson, I think, is one of the better 4.5 mil defenders this season at this point in time. Looks really, really attacking. Picked up an assist at the weekend, and he is actually, I think he's 4.6 now, but obviously I've already gone for 4.5. I can only just make this draft, by the way, so you may have to downgrade somebody because there are a couple of price changes now happening all over the place. But yeah, Robinson, I think, is one of the better 4.5 mil defenders to own. And then we've also gone Konza as well, just because of the really good fixtures that Aston Villa have got coming up, like Leicester, Everton, Wolves, and Ipswich. Obviously, Everton do not look very good this season at all. You've got Leicester as well this week. Wolves, like I say, very hit and miss. They did just concede 6 against Chelsea. And then obviously you've got Ipswich as well. So 4 really, really good fixtures for Villa coming up. And I feel like I definitely want a Villa defender for those fixtures. Obviously, with the injury to Matty Cash, there is that 4 mil Villa defender that people are kind of jumping on, but Villa are still in the transfer market looking for a new right back, so I don't think I would bring him in instead. I think I would just go Konza. He's a safe pick, and he can obviously play centre back or right back, so he can play in either of those positions regardless, so even more likely to not get dropped. But that's the back line there. Again, you obviously don't have any Arsenal defenders, but you've got Raya to cover that. You don't have any City defence, but I think the only one that you really warrant getting is probably Gvardiol, but he's just nowhere near as attacking this season as he was last season. Rico Lewis is also an option, but I think when Walker's back and everything like that, I think he's just going to be too much of a rotation risk, and I just don't think it's really worth it because you're locking yourself into a transfer. So, yeah, I mean, you can bring in like the United defenders as well because there's a couple of 4.5 United defenders, but I don't know. I just feel like this back line, you're going to be playing Trent every week and then two of Konza, Robinson, or Veltman. So, obviously, it's going to be a bit of a benching dilemma in game week 4 because you're going to have Veltman with Ipswich at home, Robinson with West Ham at home, and then Konza with Everton at home. For me, I'd probably play Konza and Robinson just because Robinson's a bit more attacking. And I think Everton is probably a better fixture than Ipswich, but either way, that'll be your choice on the day. It's just having an extra player that you kind of want in. And then obviously when, you know, Robinson plays Newcastle, you can obviously play Veltman, who's got Forest at home. So that's kind of why you bring them in, just so they rotate very, very nicely. But again, it could be any 4.5 mil defenders that you really want. I just think I'd definitely back Robinson and Konza, and then Veltman can be whoever you really want. But they're the ones that I would go with. So that's the defence and the goalkeepers. In midfield, we've got Mo Salah, Smith Rowe, Rodgers, Eze, and Cole Palmer. So Salah has to be in this draft. I think the fixtures coming up for game week 4 and 5 are basically screaming for Salah to be a captaincy option, especially when Haaland has Arsenal at home as well in game week 5. I think that, yeah, the fixture for Salah obviously warrants the captaincy armband a lot more. I don't think you need him for the Forest fixture because obviously you've got Haaland, who's got Brentford at home, but I still think he's, I don't know, like Forest and Brentford. I feel like Forest are much better defensively than Brentford. And obviously we've sorted ourselves out at the back even more so now as a Forest fan. So I'd probably still back Haaland in that fixture. But if you only own one of them, obviously you go whichever one you have. But yeah, Salah I think is, yeah, he's not covered by Jota and stuff like that. He is the 90-minute man. He's going to be on penalties. He's going to be the player that you want really out of the Liverpool attack. And like I say, the fixtures are still really, really good for them as well. Smith Rowe for 5.5, arguably one of the best, I think, priced for players, kind of what they bring and stuff in the game. He is actually, I think he might be 5.6 now. Actually, he might have gone up. Yeah, he is 5.6. There's been a few price changes, but yeah, Smith Rowe still for 5.6. I think he's much better. He's better options than, in my opinion, like Gibbs White and obviously Nkunku and stuff like that, because he's a whole 0.9 cheaper. And he's going to be getting more and more minutes now, and he looks even better. And I think he's going to be Fulham's talisman. And they've still got some really nice fixtures over the next 4 as well. And you don't have to play him every week. You can always play 4 at the back. I'd always back playing the midfielder over a defender, but you know, it's just someone that I definitely would rely on every single week. It's the same with Rodgers as well. I know that Champions League coming up, obviously that could affect certain things. But Rodgers, I think, he's just looked so good the first couple of games, and I think he's only going to get better. And if he does start producing, I think his price is just going to absolutely skyrocket. For 5 mil, yeah, this guy is definitely someone you want to swoop up because I think he's only going to get better. Eze for 7 mil, actually, I think approaching a price fall. But Eze has been one of the most unluckiest players this season. He's at the crossbar, he had a disallowed goal. You know, if one of those goes in and counts, then, you know, nobody's getting rid of him, and he's probably close to a price rise. Again, he's on penalties. Palace haven't looked incredible, but Eze has been very, very unlucky. Like, he's had so many shots and stuff. He's not a player I'd be getting rid of. He's a player that I'd be bringing in personally. Maybe not for the Chelsea fixture, but then obviously with Leicester, Man United, and then Everton away, I think I definitely want Eze for those fixtures 100%. And only for 7 mil as well. I think he's an absolute steal. And then obviously Cole Palmer as well. The fixtures that Palmer's got coming up are just absolutely ridiculous. You know, Palace, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, and then Forest. I think on penalties, the talisman, he's going to be playing every single fixture. You don't have to worry about him getting benched like Nkunku and stuff like that. If I was on a wild card, I'd just have him. And I know that this this draft doesn't have Saka, but I think, yeah, I think Cole Palmer for right now, because obviously Saka does have some tough fixtures coming up. I think Cole Palmer will definitely cover him, and yeah, I just think more stuff goes through Palmer as well. He's just more involved. You know, Saka's only really on the wing and stuff, whereas Palmer kind of like drops inside and everything to try and pick up the ball. So I think he's going to be a better option than Saka going forward, in my opinion. He is obviously 0.5 more, but I think that's warranted with the amount of like extra points he should be getting you. But Saka obviously still a fantastic option as well. So that's the midfield. And then up top, we've got Jefferson, who's just your 4.5 mil striker. He's had a couple of minutes, nothing crazy, just going to be bench fodder. And then we've also got Haaland and Muniz as well. So Haaland obviously speaks for himself, got to be in the draft. Muniz, I think if you own him, you've been very unlucky. I own him. And yeah, he's no other player in the game has had more shots in the box yet this season than Muniz. So he's been very, very unlucky. He's had so many shots, especially in that the last game as well against Leicester, and very unlucky not to score. And I think he is going to come good. Obviously, last season went on that streak where he just couldn't stop scoring, and I think that's going to happen again. He's just been very unlucky at the moment. But yeah, I mean, you want to back a player who's had the most shots in the box, like not most shots, but most shots actually in the box. So he's in those positions where he's going to be getting the goals, going to be picking up the points. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously other options as well. You can go Armstrong, who's on penalties, 5.5, plays for a worse team. There's also Chris Wood and stuff if you want to go that way. I just think that Muniz for the next four, I think, is just a really, really solid option. And then you can start revisiting, maybe getting rid of him and stuff like that. But for right now, I do think he is one of the better strikers to own. Obviously, no Isak in this up front, but I don't know. I feel like Newcastle look a little bit off it this season at the moment. But either way, that's kind of the draft that I've put together. I do really like the draft. Obviously, if you do need the money, you can always downgrade Trent to a Robertson, who will get you, it will get you an extra mil. And with that mil, you can obviously upgrade somebody or just kind of keep it in the bank just for a rainy day and stuff. Because Robertson's still, he's a decent option. He's not getting as many kind of attacking chances as Trent, but at the same time, he's playing the minutes he's starting, and he's like a mil cheaper. If you need the money, I'd go Robertson. But if you don't need the money and you can bring in Trent, Trent is the much better option. Robertson is just there just in case you can't afford some of these players, because some of them are a little bit more expensive. Muniz is 6.1 now, Robinson's 4.6, so you won't be able to make this draft with just your normal kind of 100 mil starting kind of I guess bank. But either way, that's the kind of wildcard draft that I put together. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below. Obviously, leave a comment. Are you thinking of wildcarding this week? I'm still kind of umming and ahhing. I do really like this team. There might be a couple of changes to it, obviously, but just straight off the bat, this is kind of what I came up with, and I really like it as well. But yeah, subscribe if you're brand new, ring the notification bell. So everything from me, have a fantastic rest of your day, and until next time, peace.